World title in everyone's imagination. That's the heavyweight champ. You were here. Everyone else was here. But since then, the feeling has been Joshua makes all this money fighting anyway, 30 million pounds, whatever it is. Why should he take 40 or 50 to fight Wilder when he's making against anybody? He can make 30, 40 million pounds, whatever it is.
No fantasy contracts, just reality. You know, bringing our worth to the table and bargaining and negotiating what we're worth and making this fight happen.
Which mentality do you come in with? I ask because when you were slick, to me that looked like a better fighter. But maybe this is the kind of fight where you just need to impose your strength.
Anthony Joshua appeared calm and confident as he sat down with Max Kellerman before his highly anticipated fight with Jake Paul. The matchup has excited both traditional boxing fans and newer, crossover audiences. In the conversation, Joshua didn't just talk about strategy, he opened up about the pressure, his legacy, and the unusual nature of this fight. With Kellerman asking tough questions, Joshua addressed the critics, the stakes, and what truly motivated him to face one of the sport's most controversial figures.
Or a heavyweight champion, you're an undefeated Olympic super heavyweight gold medalist, you're entering your physical prime, and you put 100,000 people in Wembley. So I get your argument. I have the economic clout. He's not coming in as partners. I should get a bigger slice of the pie. Let's have a realistic negotiation.
Max Kellerman, known for mixing technical analysis with a bit of skepticism, immediately focused on the big questions surrounding the fight. He said this is one of the strangest matchups in heavyweight boxing. Joshua is a former world champion, while Jake Paul started as an internet entertainer. So why is this fight happening at all? It's the same question millions of fans have been asking since the announcement. Joshua's answer set the tone for the rest of the interview.
You beat a guy like that, you're not going to outbox him. If you're waiting on him and he's initiating and he's feinting you into counters and then he's countering the...
When asked what he respects most about Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua replied calmly, he's bringing new eyes to boxing. He pointed out that even though Paul has no amateur background, he's still willing to take big risks and put himself under pressure. Joshua said Paul's enthusiasm and willingness to challenge himself helps bring more attention to boxing and introduces the sport to new audiences.
Meeting Jake Paul, does he remind you of any guy that you fought before? Is this a unique situation that you've never come across?
Very unique situation I've never come across, but treating with the same respect that I give all my competition.
So you got the mental fortitude, he's got the mental fortitude. But what's the one best thing that you pride Jake Paul of having that maybe you haven't seen in other competition you faced so far?
From a physical aspect, I couldn't even mention it at the minute. But from a mental aspect, he offered me the fight. Normally I'm offering people fights. He's told me, come and fight. So he believes in himself.
What does the word legacy mean to you, AJ?
Legacy, what does it mean? This is why I was actually asking someone, what does legacy mean? I don't even know.
The size difference between Joshua and Paul has become a major topic, and for good reason. While Jake Paul looks strong in his usual weight class, standing next to Anthony Joshua creates a real David versus Goliath visual. Joshua doesn't just stand taller, his physique shows years of training as a heavyweight. Even though Paul has added muscle, he still can't match the natural size and physical presence of a true heavyweight fighter.
Jake Paul versus AJ, as though Jake Paul is the bigger in this equation. Not for me. Maybe for MVP, Nikisa, Jake Paul, but not for me. I've kind of marked it or titled it David versus Goliath just because of the size difference. Like, Jake Paul's a big guy. He is. He's 6'1", 220, probably fights around, the 200-pound mark. AJ is an enormous guy. Like, he's a big, big unit. And I think Jake realized that when they came face to face. I don't know if that's the first time they've ever come that close. I'm sure they've met behind the scenes. But I think there was a realization from Jake Paul, like, fuck, this is a big dude. It's a very, very big dude who isn't coming to play. Like, there was no play with AJ. That was a press conference that almost sounded like AJ versus someone in the top 10, where AJ's taking it seriously. He's answering the questions direct that Ariel's throwing him. There was no, yeah, we're here to kind of fuck around. This is going to be easy. Give me my money. Let me run back to the UK. This was AJ's like, no, we're taking this seriously. And that ain't a good thing for Jake Paul. It isn't. And AJ is that guy anyway. Like, I would never doubt that AJ would take this seriously. But for Jake Paul, I do wonder if realization is kicking in, or maybe he is just that delusional where he doesn't care. I do, and I've been sort of corrected by a few people who maybe know better, but I do think the Americans don't credit or rate AJ. I do think there's a bit of that. I remember when AJ did the rounds prior to the Ruiz fight, and there were a few people like, yeah, you're not that good. This was prior to...
Nikisa Bedarian, CEO of Most Valuable Promotions, told Sky Sports that the December 19th fight is being promoted as a huge global event. He admitted that Joshua has far more experience, but said Jake Paul's delusional confidence might be the unpredictable factor in the matchup. Bedarian also revealed that the fight was originally planned for 2026, but Paul pushed to make it happen sooner, so negotiations were sped up to set the fight for this year.
Limit for Joshua?
So there's a lot of discussion around the weight. Joshua fought Usyk twice. Yeah. Both of those times Usyk was 221 pounds. Joshua was 240 to 245. When Jake fought Mike Tyson last year, 227 pounds. I expect Jake will come in anywhere between 225 and 230, and Anthony Joshua has a weight limit of 245 pounds.
There will be those, as you're aware, that will look at it and criticise this fight. There already have been, haven't there? They'll say it's a real mismatch. What would you say to them? Are we going to be watching sport at its purest?
I would say it's much less of a mismatch than what you saw with AJ and Francis Ngannou, who a massive man, but relatively no boxing experience. I would say it's much less of a mismatch than AJ's 9th or 10th fight against guys who've been knocked out 20 to 25 times. Given AJ's pedigree, Jake is built for this. Jake is built for the big moments. So do I think it's dangerous for Jake Paul? Absolutely. Do I think it's also dangerous for Anthony?
Alexander Usyk made it clear that he sees the fight as completely one-sided. He compared Joshua to a Rolls-Royce and Jake Paul to a Fiat, saying there's simply no real comparison between an elite heavyweight and an influencer-turned-boxer. According to Usyk, the difference isn't just in fame, it's in fundamentals, experience, and physical ability. He believes Jake Paul is putting himself in danger by stepping into the ring with Joshua.
Anthony Joshua is Olympic champion. Yeah. First. Jake Paul is, sportsman, YouTuber, showman. Rolls-Royce, Fiat. Listen, it's true. I'm not.
Oh my God. I have nothing better in mind.
Yeah. It's just true. It's business, more money. Only this.
So we need to pray for Jake Paul.
Yes. I will pray Jake Paul because I want fight with Jake Paul in octagon.
Yeah.
Do you think that Joshua should be fighting Tyson Fury next year?
I want this fight. Yeah, I fan.
Olympic boxer Tony Jeffries gave a different viewpoint. He said people should take Jake Paul seriously because he has access to every resource a fighter could want: top trainers, conditioning coaches, psychologists, nutritionists, and high-level sparring partners. Jeffries added that Paul knows this is the biggest challenge of his career, so he'll train harder than ever. He also pointed out that Jake has the advantage of youth, which means faster recovery, more energy, and stronger performance.
The tape. Now looking at the age difference, we've got 28 years old compared to 36 years old. So I guess the advantage there goes a little bit towards Jake Paul. 28-year-old is better than a 36-year-old. But that being said, we've got talking about experience and everything else, what comes with being 36 years old at Anthony Joshua's level. And then like I mentioned, the heavyweights kind of seem to prime a little bit older. Now come down to the height and the weight. This is the big one. 6'1" versus 6'6". 200 pounds versus 252 pounds. We got a 252 2-pounder in Anthony Joshua. The reach advantage is a lot, which we would expect. Amateur fights, we can see that Jake's only had one, where AJ's had 43, but 43 of them are including at the highest level, Olympic level. And yes, he won the Olympic bloody gold medal, if I don't need to remind you. Then the pro record, Jake Paul has had 13 fights, lost 1. AJ has had 28 fights and he's lost 4 with 25 KOs. And the one person that Jake Paul lost to was Tommy Fury. Now, can we compare Tommy Fury with Anthony Joshua? Not at all. It's like night and day. So now I'm going to talk about the rules of this fight, and I'll give you my prediction, which is going to shock a lot of people after this. So, what are the rules? The bout will take place at a heavyweight, obviously. It's going to be 8 3-minute rounds. You might think, well, that's better for Jake Paul, and I'm thinking, not really. It's better for Anthony Joshua because he's just going to go all out for them 8 3-minute rounds. And imagine that, Anthony Joshua blasting at you, 6'6", whatever he is, 250 pounds, throwing big bombs at you. Anyway, both fighters will be using 10-ounce gloves for the duration of the contest. Why have they got that on there? It says both fighters will be wearing 10-ounce gloves for the duration of the contest. What do you expect? Them to take them off halfway through and switch them to 12s? But I guess these days, anything happens in boxing, right? The boys will follow similar rules to Jake Paul and Mike Tyson in November, but that fight was 8 2-minute rounds and 14-ounce gloves. Not similar if it's smaller gloves and 2-minute rounds. Who wrote this for DAZN? It marks the first time Joshua will have contested less than 10 rounds.
Veteran heavyweight Derek Chisora harshly criticized the idea of Jake Paul receiving a WBC ranking. He said it disrespects the sport because real fighters work for years to earn their place, while Paul would be jumping ahead based on fame, not skill. Chisora accused WBC President Mauricio Suleiman of prioritizing money over credibility. At the same time, some analysts are defending Jake Paul, claiming Joshua can't take punches anymore after his knockout losses. But other analysts argue that losing to other professional heavyweights doesn't mean Paul will beat him. Joshua still has elite skills, big power, and years of experience. They believe that if he stays focused, he can still win clearly.
The cruiserweight ranking to the winner of this fight. Do you think they deserve one?
I don't think so. I don't know why. It's hard enough for real athletes, for real boxers, to gain those rankings, and then suddenly this Solomon Tuesday decides to give double ranking because he's getting some greens in his, in his back pocket. No.
Anthony Yarde gave a more intense reaction. He warned Joshua not to underestimate Jake Paul and told him to take the fight seriously. Yarde said Jake Paul is very good at creating hype and turning fights into global events, which can distract or relax his opponents. He warned that if Joshua goes into the fight too comfortably, Paul could surprise him.
AJ's laughing. Against Jake Paul, come on. If it's not, there's all these people say, oh, it's all fixed and all this and that. If that's not true, AJ should just go up there and punch him up, But if some funny stuff happens and Jake Paul starts doing the rope-a-dope, there's something must be going on. But yeah, I don't think this fight's crazy. But Jake Paul's a master at getting eyes, He's been like that. He's very smart. No one cares if he loses. He's meant to lose, and they.
Former UFC fighter turned boxer Darren Till defended Jake Paul while reacting to news that the fight might happen. He criticized Saudi promoter Turki Al-Sheikh, calling him a hypocrite and telling him to get out of here. Till said Jake Paul has nothing to lose in this fight and argued that Joshua struggles under pressure. He claimed that Paul is mentally tougher, which could give him an advantage if the fight actually takes place.
Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua, as much as he's a monster, he's got a weak mind, hasn't he? So Jake could end up getting into it because Jake's got everyone eating out the palm of his hand. He's a very clever man. So
you really think he's got a chance?
Why wouldn't he have a chance? Look how confident he is. Mate, come on. Anthony would have all the pressure in the world, and if Anthony didn't do him with the first few punches, he'd start doubting himself in his head because that's what he does. But no, Anthony should win, shouldn't he? But
what do you make of Tyson Fury saying that he's going to put $1 million bet on Jake winning by knockout?
Tyson to leg it, lad. He's retired about 50 times. What's he on about, mate? Just tell him to leg it, and I love him. If he walked in here, I'd obviously.
At one point, you were good friends.
I'm still good friends, but obviously, if he walked in here, I'd act like I'm not talking about him. But then on the camera, I'm talking. Is this not what we're on?
Fair enough.
Is everyone not fake, or no? We all. What are we on here? Are we all acting like we don't hate each other? Like, come on. Like what?
You're on absolute smoke
Shut
today.
your mouth, Tyson.